Afternoon, Jules here from Joolsedesigns at JT Creations. So today we're going to make some vintage envelopes, and these are made from scratch from square pieces of paper. Yeah, I do like to decoupage napkins on mine, but this one I've stamped and I've decorated with some tulle with iridescent bits on, sparkles. Some ribbon and washi tape. Again, that's decoupaged, and I've done some stamping, and I did some stamping inside. This one's a little bit more napkin decoupaged. It's a cup of tea, and it's just scraps of napkin that I've had left, a stamp that I used crayons to colour in the daisies. Again, a little bit of decoupage. I've stamped on the inside, and this one I used some splashes of ink on. So these are quite easy to make. So I've got some square pieces of paper here. Now these are from an A4 piece of paper. You know, when you turn it up and you cut that piece off. I've already done that. I've splashed some ink on, and it was Blueprint Sketch, Mermaid Lagoon, and Gathered Twig. These were cabbage dyed papers, so they're slightly blue anyway, and this is just a coffee dyed paper. So these are just copier paper that I use on these. And what I'll do is I'll work on this one first. So what you need to do is you need to find the middle of your envelope, of your square. So if you don't have a ruler long enough, because normally you would go from corner to corner, find your middle. With the easiest thing is one of these, but there's an even easier place. So you just put your corner to corner and just crease down. You'll have to excuse my nails, I've got ink all over me. And you've got like a little crease there. And do the same there, corner to corner. And there you've got a cross. And I'll just, so that's my middle. So what I'm going to do is decide what I want outside. So this is the envelope I want outside, and I think I want that one as the flap. So what you do is you put the point right on the middle and crease down. And this isn't a new way of making an envelope. This has been going for a long time, and if you go on Pinterest or any of those places and make an envelope, you'll find this method. So once you've got that, make sure that that's your flap, and then what you want to do is you want to turn this over, but you want to fold it over this part, and again put your point to the middle. And crease it like that. And then what I normally do is you can leave the point if you want. You can round it off. I know I'll round that bit off. But this one, I'll just fold it down and then fold it over. And that's it. And then the top bit, I don't fold down as much. I just look to see what is right, what looks right for me. There's no measurements with this, you just fold it down. As long as these bits are folded over slightly. And then all I do, and just make sure that your edges here are matching, you know, the level with the underneath edge. And then what I normally do is I burnish it down. And then open it up. If you want, you can get rid of that. And then what I do is I cut these corners out. You don't need them, and all they'll do is add bulk to your envelope. So I just cut them out. You can use digitals as well. I've done these with digitals. You don't have to decorate them so much when you do them with digitals. And they always look nice in your journal. And you'll see that the top one it's got smaller bits cut out. So what I want to do now is I want to stick this down. And then just fold that in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink around the edges, and I'm using gathered twig. It's not as brown as espresso, and I'm just working on my mat and bringing it to the paper. But when you're using copier paper, don't press too hard, otherwise you'll rip your paper. It's fine. So, and then what I'm going to do is this is the flap that comes down, so I'm just taking a corner around it and just rounding it off, and then I'll go back over it. And if you want, you know, you can sort of like do a bit more on the paper around the edges. It's entirely up to you. Then normally what I do is I fold these in. If you want, you can rub that out. I don't bother because you can't see it anyway. And then I take a liner of glue, and I just take it up to where I've folded and stuck that piece down. Now I normally do this with sort of like junk mailers, or well, decorate how I'm going to decorate today with junk mailers or just normal envelopes, and I coffee dye them and that before I do this. But we don't always have envelopes, but you know, copier paper's quite cheap, and you know, you can coffee dye and you can make your envelope, and that will make an envelope it would help if I did put the ruler up the right way. So that's 4 and 2 4 7/8 by 5 and 7/8. So it's a nice size. Before you stick it down, I would stamp on the inside, and I didn't do that. So silly me. So what I'm going to do is, I have done, I did numbers in that one, and I did script in that one. But on this one, I'm going to do a crackle, and I'm going to use this one. I'm not actually going to put it on a stamp block. I don't need it on a stamp block, and I'm just using gathered twig, and I'm just going to put it in. If you do it before you stick it down, it makes it a little bit easier. So there, we've got that, and then and it just adds to the making it look a little bit vintage, and you can do that. and just randomly. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can even go in for the, you know, the second and the third. And the same with this. And I'm just working my way around the edges. And then I'll fold that over and we'll just lightly tap. Just, and again. Okay. Now what I am going to use, I'm going to use ground espresso. It's just a little bit darker and I'm just going to go around the edge. And there we are. Now what I want to do is, before I do any decoupage, I've got decoupage to go on it, and I've got this bee, and I think I'm going to put the bumblebee up there with those flowers there, or I could put that there. We'll decide. But I'm going to put some sort of like little stamps of flowers around the edge, and I've got these. When I find them. I've got these stamps here, and I'm not going to use the full stamp, I'm just going to use the edge. And I think I'm going to use that one. So that's it there. I am going to put this on a stamp block, and I'm going to use quite a light, use an antique linen. And I'm just stamping off. Don't want anything perfect. And it's just giving it like a subtle a subtle look. And I'm going to do it a little bit on here. And I'll not bother on there. And I'll just put my stamps over here, just keep them out the way. And then I have a script stamp, and it's a letter. But what I do is that the bottom of the letter, this part looks like an address, so I always use it for that. And I'm going to use the archival black. And if I've stamped over some of the word, the part of the script I didn't want, that's fine, doesn't matter. It still looks like an address. And I'm just pressing it on like that. Doesn't matter that it's not perfect, but what I will do is I'll just stamp my stamp off a bit and just clean it up. So we've now got black and brown on there. And normally I would mix Mod Podge with water, 1 part Mod Podge, 2 parts water, and stick it on. But because I've used Distress inks, apart from that one, I don't want to do that because the water in the Mod Podge will just make the stamped images bleed. And I'm just ripping these off a little bit. So I just want to see that. I think we'll have the little bumblebee coming down. And it can go over there a bit. That's fine. So what I am going to use is I am going to use Mod Podge, but I'm using it just with a wet. Just a wet brush, and I'm just quickly going over, and I'm just putting him down. And if he goes off the page, that's fine, I'm not bothered. And I'm just sticking him down. I've not got any on there, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go under there. And you'll see the edges of the napkin are just starting to disappear, so it just looks like a bumblebee. And the same with this. And this is a matte Mod Podge, so it's if you use a glossy one, you'll you know your envelope will go glossy, but I like the matte. And then just place that on there, and again, if it goes off, it does not matter. And you can use matte medium, you don't have to use Mod Podge, you can use PVA glue, you can use glue stick. I used glue stick on one of them and it works just as good. Glue stick, you have to be more careful. We've got a little bit there that's not sticking down. When you use Mod Podge with water, it kind of soaks into the napkin a lot better and the edges disappear quicker. So there we are, we've got that. And I'm just pulling these away. If I pull some leaves away, it's fine. Doesn't matter. I pulled a bit of the flower away. And that's going to go there. So we want to go okay, and we'll stick that down like that, and then just gently go over with your whatever glue you're using. And there we are. And yeah, there is bits sticking over, and I'll deal with them once it's dry. So I'm just going to leave that to one side to dry a bit. And I'm coming back to this one. So again, I think I'll have that on the outside because It's not as vivid. So again, just crease that down and crease that down, and there we have it. There's the middle. Now decide, I think I'll have that as the flap. So this is my flap. So put my point in the middle, and that'll give you a straight edge here, and a point on the middle there. You just burnish that down, and that's my flap. And again, just make sure your sides are even. And you can make these, I mean, this square is 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, but you can use 6 by 6, 5 by 5, 4 by 4, you know, 10 by 10, whatever you want to use. So I'm just creasing those corners down, and I'm just going to bring my flap down. Okay, and then what we do is we cut these little corners out. And you can do this in the card making days. You could buy envelopers and things like that for making envelopes. There's lots of gadgets out there for making envelopes, but I find this one's quite simple. I mean, I have got an envelope border. We are memory keepers. But when it's for a junk journal, you don't have to be precise. But if you're making it for a specific card shape, then you're probably better off using now, I don't need to do any stamping on the inside of that, so I can stick that one down. And again, I should really ink around the edges, but I'm not going to bother. I'll ink around the edges of the actual envelope. And there we are, perfect envelope. So we'll just ink around the edges of that, and I'm just looking for a blue sponge because I'm going to do it in weathered wood, which is a grey blue, and I quite fancy the fleur-de-lis, and it's a bit sticky because I bought it here from a second-hand shop, so I don't know how old it is. And I'm going to do it in weathered wood, and I'm not bothered if I've got the full thing or not. Yep, see, I told you it was sticky, so that looks quite nice. And then I'm just going to do the edges. And I'm just not doing it in a straight line, I'm just doing it wonky because I'm quite happy with it wonky. Not overthinking it, I'm just going for it. And I'm just stamping it off there. And there we are. So we'll do that. And I'm going to do my little address bit. And we're going to put that right in the middle there. And it's not stamped perfect, but I'm not that bothered. And I think what we'll do with this one is we'll put some lace on it. I've got some blue lace here that's just a cut off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put using fabric tack, and I'm doing probably about 1/2 inch down the side there, and I'm just going to put this on and gather it. So there we are. Oops. This is a heavier lace, so I'm having to hold it a little bit more. The tull's easier to do this, and ribbon's easier to do this. And then what I usually do is I shove a pencil on it until it grabs. And I have stuck my pencil to it before, because obviously the fabric tack seeps through there. The material. And if you want, you can, I could have put a running stitch up there and gathered it and then stuck it on, no problem. But I don't know where my sewing kit is. I think it's probably still in my case. I've never took it out. And if you get any little bits lapping over like that, just put a little bit of until it grabs. And the same there. And we'll put that little bit up there. And I'll put my lid on there. And I'm just there we are. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little clip there just to keep that on. And I'll just cut this little bit off there. Obviously it's going over the edge there, which is fine. And I've got some little flowers. Now there isn't any pink on there, but I'm just wondering if I should because I don't have any blue flowers or any. I do at home, but I just didn't think. So I think that looks all right. So I'm just cutting one off. These you usually buy in a strip, like a ribbon strip. And there we are. So maybe should put these on there. I've got some others. I've got these from Flying Tiger. I'm not quite sure what they're like. I got them to use in my journals, but so put that on there. And we'll leave it to dry, and hopefully this one, yeah. All right, so what you can, close my inks down. And then what you can do is you can just, you know, if you've done decoupage in with napkins, you can file them off. That one's got a little bit open there, so I'm just yeah. Okay, and what I'm going to use now is I'm going to use a stamp. And I'll use one of these. I think I'll use that one. And I'm using the black archival for this. And I've got one of these wavy line ones. I didn't realise I had this until I was going through my stamps, and I thought, oh, been looking for one of them for ages, and I didn't realise I had it. So that's that. And I'm just going to go around the edges. This has had black on it, so it doesn't matter. It's mixed in with the brown now, so it just and we'll put that there. And that's our envelope. That's how quick it is to make these, quite quick. So to make two, that's taken me 36 minutes. If you wanted, you could just get all your squares, fold them up, then do your stamping, and, you know, like have like a conveyor belt, like a mass make. I know we've got his I'm going to take his leg off. I'll leave that there, that looks all right. And then if you wanted, I've got watercolour pencils. You can colour your stamp in. And so I did pink around the bottom and a yellow in the middle. And that's that. Now I'm not sure if I want to put any lace on this one. I've got the like the cream lace underneath. Yeah, I think I will. I think I'll have it on this side, so I'm just putting a thin bead and if you wanted you could always do your envelopes up without you know, just sort of like do the backgrounds, the stamps and everything, and then as you come to do your journals decorate them to match the theme of, or colour or whatever for your journal would be good as well. So you know, you could have like a stack of them, and that's just kind of a subtle little lacy bit there. And we'll have a look at this now because this should have stuck. Yeah, it's stuck. And there we are. Yeah, that's dry. And I think we'll go back over with this with some blueprint, which is slightly darker. And that's lovely, you know, it's a nice, because what you can do is you can put it over your page. Say that's your page. You can put it over like that and stick it sort of like down there, so you've got a tuck spot, which is what I usually do. And then when you open it up, you've got a pocket there to put whatever you want in. Sometimes I'll sew them in the center signature and then stick them up so that, you know, you've got this in the middle, or you know, you can put them in your center signature like that. But it's entirely up to you. So I hope you get something out of that. So that these are the two that we've done today, the bee and the blue, and these are my prototypes, and that's a cup of tea. And when I looked at that I thought, oh, it looks like little, it's not clovers, but it looks like little clovers. So have a go. It is easy. Decorate them the way you want, stamp them, colour them, watercolour them, whatever. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.